Imagine if a ragtag team of European underdogs decided to crash the party of America's aviation giant, Boeing. Picture this. In the 1970s, Boeing's ruling the skies with their iconic 747 jumbo jet, raking in billions, while Europe's scattered plane makers are barely scraping by. But what if I told you these scrappy Europeans banded together, built the world's largest passenger plane, and turned the entire industry upside down? That's the wild story of Airbus, the underdog that became Boeing's nightmare. Stick around, because by the end, you'll know why this rivalry is still raging today, and it might just change how you fly. Prefer Airbus or Boeing? Drop your pick in the comments. Let's debate. All right, let's rewind to the post-World War II era. The US had crushed it in aviation tech during the war, pumping out bombers and fighters like nobody's business. By the 1960s, Boeing, Lockheed, and McDonnell Douglas owned the commercial jet market. Europe? They were fragmented. France had Sud Aviation. Germany had Messerschmitt. Britain had Hawker Siddeley. These guys were building solid planes, but they couldn't compete on scale. Boeing was selling hundreds of 707s and 727s worldwide, while Europeans were lucky to snag regional deals. So, here's the big question. Could a bunch of rival nations actually team up without egos exploding? In 1969, French and German ministers shook hands on a bold idea: create a consortium to build a wide-body airliner that could challenge the Americans. They called it Airbus Industry, roping in Britain and Spain later. No single country owned it. It was a shared risk, shared reward setup. Genius or a recipe for disaster? We'll see. Fast forward to 1970. Airbus is born in Toulouse, France, a sleepy town that would become the heart of European aviation. Their first project? The A300, a twin-engine wide-body designed for short to medium hauls. Sounds basic now, but back then it was revolutionary. Efficient, quieter, and cheaper to operate than Boeing's tri-jets like the 727. But building it? Chaos. Suppliers from different countries argued over everything: metric versus imperial measurements, even wiring colors. The A300's first flight in 1972 was a nail-biter. Would it even get off the ground? It did, and in 1974, Air France became the launch customer. Sales were slow at first, only 15 orders in 4 years. Airbus was bleeding cash, subsidized by governments to the tune of billions. Boeing laughed it off, calling them government-funded hobbyists. But Airbus persisted, offering crazy deals like fly-before-you-buy leases. By the late 70s, Eastern Airlines in the US bit, their first American customer. Boom! Orders trickled in, hitting 81 by 1980. The underdog was barking. Now imagine you're an airline CEO in the 80s. Fuel prices are skyrocketing after the oil crisis. You need efficiency. Enter the A320 in 1987, Airbus's game changer. This single-aisle jet wasn't just another plane. It pioneered fly-by-wire technology. Computers replacing mechanical controls for smoother, safer flights. Pilots loved it. It saved fuel and reduced maintenance. But here's the hook. Would this tech wizardry win over skeptical airlines, or crash and burn like some feared? It soared. The A320 family became the best-selling jet ever, over 10,000 delivered today. Airbus innovated relentlessly. Composites for lighter weight, sharklets for better aerodynamics. Boeing scrambled with the 737 next generation, but Airbus was closing the gap. By the 90s, market share flipped. Boeing had 60%, Airbus 40%. The rivalry heated up. WTO battles over subsidies, accusations flying like missiles. Airbus claimed Boeing got hidden US military contracts. Boeing said Airbus was unfairly propped up by Europe. Who was right? That's a debate still simmering. But Airbus wasn't done dreaming big. In 2000, they announced the A380, the double-decker behemoth, seating up to 850 passengers. It was their swing at Boeing's 747 crown. Picture this: a plane so massive it needed reinforced runways, with luxury suites, bars, even showers on board. Emirates went all in, ordering dozens. First flight in 2005 was a spectacle. Crowds cheering as this flying hotel lifted off. But would the A380 conquer the skies, or become a billion-dollar blunder? Spoiler, it was both. The A380 entered service in 2007 with Singapore Airlines, wowing passengers with its space and quiet cabins. Airlines like Qantas and Lufthansa snapped them up for hub-to-hub routes. At peak, Airbus projected selling 1,200 units. Business insight here. They bet on the hub-and-spoke model, where big planes ferry masses between mega airports. But the industry shifted to point-to-point flights with efficient twins like the 787 Dreamliner. Fuel costs rose, and the A380's 4 engines guzzled too much. Production delays hammered Airbus. Wiring issues alone cost $6 billion. By 2019, with only 251 orders, they pulled the plug, ending production in 2021. Ouch! Yet the A380 forced Boeing to innovate. They stretched the 747-8, but it flopped too. Lesson? In business, timing and adaptability trump size. Airbus lost money on the A380. Estimates say $25 billion, but gained priceless prestige. It proved Europe could build giants. Meanwhile, Boeing stumbled hard. Remember the 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019? Grounded for 20 months, costing Boeing $20 billion and their representative. Airbus pounced. Their A320neo outsold the MAX 3-1. By 2023, Airbus delivered more planes annually than Boeing for the first time. Today, in 2025, Airbus commands 60% market share. They've expanded with the A350, a carbon fiber marvel rivaling the 777, and acquired Bombardier's A220 for smaller routes. Smart moves, right? But here's the lingering question. Can Boeing bounce back, or is Airbus the new king? Boeing's dealing with strikes, supply chain woes, and Starliner delays. Airbus? They're pushing sustainable aviation fuels and hydrogen tech for zero-emission flights by 2035. The rivalry's fiercer than ever. Orders at air shows are like Super Bowl bets. So, what can we learn from Airbus's rise? First, collaboration beats isolation. Europe's consortium turned weakness into strength. Second, innovate boldly. Fly-by-wire changed everything. Third, adapt or die. The A380 taught that harshly. In business, underdogs win by outsmarting, not outspending. If you're an entrepreneur, think, what's your A300, that first risky product? Drop your thoughts below. Like if you're Team Airbus, subscribe for more epic business battles. Next up, Tesla versus legacy automakers. Who's your aviation pick? Comment now. Thanks for watching. Fly high.